We're going live week 10, answering your start sit questions for fantasy football. I got the Gamecast pulled up. We'll keep an eye on that. Usually when games are being played in the mornings, it's a little bit of a slower start, but we'll be here till 1 o'clock start time for the games, helping you guys out with your start sit questions. So make sure to drop it in the chat below. Also got it subscriber only, so if the chat blows up, it ain't going to blow up too much. That way I can effectively answer your guys' questions as deep as possible. Usually about a couple minutes to kick off, it blows up and I got to rapid fire it. But if you do it around now, I can actually dig up data and advanced stats to help you out and get you the information you need, because I just share as much as possible with you guys. Looking at this matchup here, Jonathan Taylor goes off. I want to look at the box score. Get a better look at the stats here. Alec Pierce, bringing him up. Solid day off the waiver wire, huh? Solid day. We got some questions here. Right off the rip. Got screwed by Pittman this morning. Have PPR. Who to start? Money Guy, Tracy, Chris Rodriguez, also 2QB League, Mariota Fields. All right. So how much upside do you need would be the main question here. If I'm shooting for straight up upside, how much did Pittman kill you compared to what your opponent's doing? So if I'm looking at that, I think I might it's a flip with Mariota and Fields, honestly. You're hoping Fields cashes against a tough Browns defense. You got Mariota in a game that could push it. You got a higher projected point total with that. I want to see what the market's saying about those two quarterbacks. I bet you they're both down on them. I bet you they don't like them. My bet is, where's Mariota? Down here below the ad, right? Where's Marcus? But his matchup's all right. He's in the top 15. Fields are usually high on Fields. They got Mariota ahead of Fields. I like Mariota's matchup better. That would be my hedge for the two. And now if I'm looking for straight up upside, maybe Tracy. And then outside of that too, on top of that, you're looking at touchdown gambles at this point. Money Guy's a decent touchdown gamble. Double check the weather there. I think it was kind of volatile when I was checking that. Like I was keeping tabs with the AI, so it searched all the reports for me. And from time to time, it would say be all right during the game. From other times, it said it was going to be a little bit nastier. I imagine it's just going to be weather being volatile. I think Tracy might be your safest upside bet. Then it's Kyle Monangai, and I think it's a coin flip between the two. I think Monangai hit last week. I think there's potential with that, but he's got Swift back. Tracy's sharing the workload too, but it's a favorable situation here in this matchup as well for him. Very explosive player. I think either of those two, it's a coin flip for me. Now it's Swift or Travis Etienne. Fundamentals. My gut likes Swift a little bit better, but I think they're gonna like Etienne better. They like Etienne at Houston. I don't like that matchup. I think Etienne's a little safer, like less likely to bust on you. And Swift's a little bit lower. My gut went to Swift on that. And the reason why is working the passing game. You got the over-under for this game dipped a bit. 45.5 right here. I don't know if you can see that too well. It was at like 48.5 a few days ago. It was 46.5 last night. It has dropped some points. That's another indicator for me looking at the weather for that matchup. But when I look at the Houston matchup, 37.5. I just like the Giants-Bears game. If I have to, tie break that, I like the matchup better for Swift. I think there's going to be more movement in that matchup. That's what would cause me to go that route. I think Etienne might be a little bit safer and less likely to bust, but I think Swift, all in all, has more upside in the matchup still with the role in the passing game. But his downside is now Kyle Money Guy, and we do not know how the touches are going to look. My guy, should I play Johnston for the Chargers or Money Guy? They're both good bets. I mean, they're both good for – I imagine that's a flex, and I imagine they're both good bets for the flex. I think Money Guy's got more touchdown upside than usual now due to him showing how good he can play and the coaching staff. He may even get more work than realized, but it could be a split up workload. QJ, they got him at 66, right with Tracy there. They probably got Kyle Monangai ahead of QJ. I would say this. This would be the kicker for me. If I need to shoot for 20 plus points, I'm rocking QJ. I think Kyle Monangai, even with the weather here, I think in this matchup, probably a little safer for that 10-ish range in points. That's how I would look at it because it is a very tight split with them, and it was tight with me too. I think if I'm shooting for 20 plus with a risk here, I think against the Steelers, though, I think it's going to be all right. I think that's a line. I want to see what Vegas is saying for you because we want to deep dive this. 45.5, so middle of the road over under. So they're expecting some movement. I think if I'm looking for 20 plus with a risk of not getting the workload and volume, I would go QJ. I think if I'm projected to beat the guy I'm going up against and I feel like I'm going to smash him, I don't need to take the risk. I am going to go money guy. That's what I would do. That's how I'd play it. Like, I think both of them have their probabilities here to where they could smash. I like how money guy is going to get some touches, and I can forecast that. There are games where QJ won't get that, but there's also games where he does, and he splashes. Colston Loveland or DJ Moore, 25-mile-an-hour winds. Let's see. So the 25-mile-an-hour winds is enough to impact the betting lines. I'll say that. 25-mile-an-hour winds. I'm going to throw this up because you guys are going to let's see. I was already talking with AI. I want to see if they got historical analysis with this. Is 25 MPH wins. How much of the total point total for NFL games are impacted by this amount of wind? Also, does it decrease the passing attempts and by how much? There we go. So when you're really thinking this through with this matchup here, we're looking at DJ Moore versus Colston Loveland. We're looking at the targets here. First off, I'm going to really look at DJ Moore for a sec. I think when I'm looking, do I have sleeper up already? I got it over here. Screw that. You can tell I got some players up, huh? Pull up his stats real quick. He's good for 6-7 targets. A matchup. Colston Loveland's around 5-ish. I think and more the last two games have been all right. And they have not been pushing it to Romo Dunze. I think with the increased wind, like pushing it to Romo Dunze would be the hardest thing for them to do, getting it downfield, because he does have the double-digit ADOT, while DJ Moore short to intermediate and getting pushed downfield. That could lend a notion to him. I think red zone work, Loveland, he's been getting solid targets, but it hasn't been as set in stone as Moore. I think Moore's your safer play here when you're looking at the workload. I think when you're looking at it, though, all in all, when you're looking at Monday morning quarterbacking this, I think it's still up in the air. I think what would set them apart is Colston Loveland getting the touchdown. Yeah, I think with this matchup, a decent touchdown gamble. I think DJ Moore more than likely would be the start for me. I think it is a coin flip between the two, and I think the question is a good one to ask. I want to see if anything was brought up. Are a substantial factor regarding the points. So typical decreases the game total by 15 to 25% to compared to calm conditions and wins. That way we got a finite number with that. will decrease about 5 to 10%. So if you're looking at 40, if they're average 30 pass attempts a game, it should probably be around like 26, 27, 28-ish. So decreasing that on average if they had more games to have an average with. Looking at that. So expect a little decrease in the passing game. What about target distance? All right. So there will be projected on average about a 15 to 20% decrease in total volume in the Bears game. Also, passing will be decreased a little bit per if it holds true with the 25-mile-an-hour winds. I'm not a weather person, but I can definitely search things up for you guys. Says it right there. By usually 2 to 4 fewer pass attempts per game. Calm conditions. So about 2 to 4 fewer pass attempts. So the volume will be decreased, but not super much. A lot of betting analysts, from what I've been studying for them, they don't really look at the weather too much unless it's super severe. The ones that just do advanced analytics for their betting. I would probably go DJ Moore is more of your safer play. I think is a toss-up between the two. Colson, Loveland, DJ Moore. Here's the next one. Tillman or Coker? I think it's a coin flip. I think the big question is, will Gabriel gel with Tillman? They've changed the play caller, so they might call things totally different here. They might try to get it to Tillman. The addition to Tillman might spark the passing game a little bit more. Where Coker, I want to look at Coker real quick. Coker, volume-wise, has he been getting it? He's not really been getting targets. We do got the Saints. They can nuke the game script. I think of them as random touchdown gambles in this matchup, in both of them, due to him not getting the volume. T-Mac's going to be out there. If T-Mac wasn't out there, I'd go Coker. I don't like either of them this week. I think both of them are big-time gambles. I think you're hoping the snap shares for Coker increases. I think Tillman's going to be out there. I think Tillman for a touchdown gamble. That's what I would do. I'd be gambling on the touchdown. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Diggs or Will. I like Diggs' matchup better. You got borne out. I think that's going to concentrate targets. I'm just going to lean into the matchup. I want to see what the market. So there's an average of 38 rankers, 38 people ranking. So that's a market to me. So it's probably the smartest way to look at rankings for me, I would think. Like, is it going to be right? No, not always. But I can really process through it. So they got Diggs at 13. That's 38 people averaged out. Wilson's probably going to be higher. They don't have Garrett Wilson higher. So are they in line with me? Yeah, they're in line with me. They got Stephon Diggs a little bit higher than Garrett Wilson. I just don't like the Browns-Jets matchup near as much as that Bucks-Pats matchup. I think that's going to be a game that goes off. I'm going to check the over-under with that one, see where that's at. 48.5. It's reduced or a little bit, I think, or it's held the same. But I like that a lot versus a 37.5 over-under. That's 11 points higher on the projected point total from Vegas. Like, it could break open. The odds are reduced. I'm not trying to guess the over and under. I'm trying to look at this and see what the market's trying to say on their prediction on the game flow. And they're expecting good game flow, and it makes sense. Baker Mayfield versus Drake May. I think I'd hitch onto that. I'd be hitching on to that wagon a lot. I'm huge on Jordan Addison this week. I'm huge. I like this matchup here. 48.5 over under. I like the matchup. Ravens, Vikings. McCarthy's back for a second game. I'm going to look more into the stats here because now I'm operating on the back of my Abdullah Oblongata. and you're looking at that 4-4. It's fine, but 21, 11, and 8. Last one was against Detroit. Detroit's been in some weird game scripts. They'll push the pace, but yet, but you got Baltimore here. That should be a fun game script. I think I'm going to roll Jordan Addison here. It's not like DJ Moore's been safe. I like Jordan Addison a lot here with McCarthy. I've liked him a lot there throughout training camp and the rapport they were building. Jennings or Mason? Which Jennings? I might just rank both Jennings. Is it Juwan or Jordan Mason or Terrell Jennings? If I imagine it's Terrell Jennings and versus Mason. And I believe, I think you're going to get more ancillary workload out of Mason. Projection wise, I mean 7 versus 5, but to me that's roughly the same. It's Terrell. It's roughly the same. I think what I look at these two running backs, now I'm trying to figure out what to project here. Rushing attempt wise, Jennings. Okay. I think when I'm looking at these two running backs, they're both in good matchups, but they're touchdown gambles. I think when I'm in the goal line and then the red zone, I could definitely see the Pats going away from Hendo and just punching in with Jennings. I can definitely see that. I see Mason's role reducing by the week. Jennings, the team seems to like him. They did not trade for another running back. That's another clue. They're also saying Hendo's supposed to get more work. Maybe it does, but here we're projecting both these backs out anyways as touchdown gambles. If I'm going to gamble on the touchdown, I think I'd go Jennings. It's not clear cut. It's not 1-for-1, but I think I got that appropriately analyzed as what kind of assets they are for lineups. They're touchdown gambles, and if I had to lean into one, I'd lean into Jennings in that game script. Flex Tez Johnson or Shakir? I want to see what the market's saying about that one because my gut, I'll say it before I even look, went to Tez. And I believe it's close with them. They got Shakir ahead of Tez, I bet. My gut went to Tez. Reason why, and I might be too high on that Bucks game, but they're not far away. They're not far away. I think Shakir's safe. I think he's a safe play this week. I like them both. I think Tez versus the Patriots and then moving him around, getting him off that coverage, then moving him in a boot around, trying to be creative, and him getting some of those targets. I just see Shakir because Shakir can be hella volatile, and maybe that's giving me bias. But I think he's going to be all right because it's the Dolphins. Last time against the Dolphins, he scored 14. I think he's actually safer for this 11 to 14 range, Shakir is. And if all you want is that, that's cool. I think the odds of him getting plus 20 or even more than 15 or so is going to be maybe not as high as Tez because Tez is going to have that back and forth game. Probably higher probability of getting points in the back end of that game where they should be road dogging the Dolphins here. Dolphins have been sneaky in some of these matchups, but I think if I'm shooting for more upside, I'm going Tez. If I want to make sure I don't bust, and that's my biggest worry, then I'd go Shakir. I think more often than not, I'd go Tez. But if you're under the other thinking and you're here to road dog your other opponent and you're projected to beat them soundly, eat with these answers because it's more strategy. Love the content. Pick 2. Garrett Wilson, Parker Washington. Fundamentals would go Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown. Fundamentals would do that. So, because you got talent-wise, you got your 2 studs there. Parker Washington is in the same galaxy talent-wise. So now it's the process-wise is why would we move off of it? It's if our gut is completely down on A.J. Brown or Garrett Wilson to the matchup. If your gut is down on one of them because Parker Washington is getting workload, it's fine to make that move. Fundamentals wise, A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson. If your gut does not like one of them, and it probably is, it's fine to go Parker Washington because he is getting the workload. And that would be the straight up answer for me. So if you came at this as like, what's your confidence level of A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson this week? I'd say like, I think they're probably more like 50-50s than they are like absolutes compared to their normal time. You got Wilson against the Browns. You got A.J. Brown. He's been very volatile this year. And what do I think about Parker Washington? I think he's 50-50, but with the changes at wide receiver, I feel a little bit better with him. And if your gut's really rolling against one of those 50-50s on those studs, go ahead and make that move. Fundamentals, I can look at the rankings. They're going to have Wilson and A.J. Brown ahead of him. It's just process, and that's how people are going to roll. But to cut you straight, that when things align with fundamentals, and the fundamentals ain't always going to be right, you have the gut. There's one that does not roll with your gut to put Washington in. I think they're both rough matchups here. I think Wilson will be concentrated with targets more. A.J. Brown will be your riskier of the two. Luke Musgrave or A.J. Barner? Touchdown gambles between the two tight ends. I'd roll Luke Musgrave. I have Musgrave as the better talent. I know the Packers like to go to the tight end. He's been productive in this offense before. He has more potential of racking up yards than getting you fancy scoring through that, just in case neither of them scored the touchdown, just in case neither of them get it. I'd go Luke Musgrave. I also think the targets in this offense is going to fan out a little bit. I think some will go to Christian Watson, a little bit more to the other wide receivers and their carousel effect. I think the carousel effect for these wide receivers is going to increase. You'll get more production from the wide receivers here. Need flex, full PPR. JMO, Bill, Woody, Njoku. 10-man league. Here's what I would do. I think more often not for my lineups, I'm going JMO, and I'm going to shoot for that upside. I know what JMO is. Like, he's hella boom bust. More often not, I'm just going to shoot for that, considering what we got here. Because, and just own it if I get less than 10, because that's just what he is. You got a matchup here against Washington. A lot of teams like to target their second, third reads against that team. We do have a lot of studs hit. Amon-Ra should hit. I think JMO would be my bet for my lineups. If I want to go safer and I do not like the boom bust, I probably would go. I look at the other three as just touchdown gambles. I'd probably go Njoku. I think more often than not, if it was me, I'd go JMO and just shoot for that upside of that 15, 20, 25 points and just own it if I get 2, 5, 6, and 6 if those games happen. That's what I would do, that strategy, because I'd rather try and win. Like, I don't want to play like Stefanski, coach of the Browns, and try not to lose. What about – I think that's an interesting dichotomy. I think Jennings is more of just a touchdown gamble. Olamai's hit the last 2 games. This is a good matchup for him. I think he's safer to get you to around that 10 range. I don't think he's going to score touchdowns every week. I think the odds are against that. He could get another one. I wouldn't be surprised he finishes the year with 3 to 4 touchdowns, and this could be a catalyst to that number. I could definitely see him being around 5-ish targets. We covered from AI, I got it up here still, that wind will make an impact, but it will decrease it by typically 2 to 4 fewer pass attempts per game. So it will be an impact here. It will reduce it. It honestly will, from a micro perspective, really depends on Caleb Williams and just the back and forth in the game as well. So if you get good back and forth, it may not even matter. Or if you get bad back and forth, it may matter even more. That's how I'm looking at it. But 2 to 4 fewer passing attempts. So about 5 to 10 less in passing volume. Completion percentages drop 6%. Not horrible, but enough for a guy that's very zesty and very unpredictable like Caleb Williams. With that, a short target like Olamide might be a little safer. Might be a little bit safer. I think he's probably going to be around that 8 to 10 range for this week, and you're hoping for the touchdown. I think Terrell Jennings, you're hoping for the touchdown. I think they're both touchdown gambles. If I had to pick between the two, I'd probably go Jennings due to the matchup, but I think it's a coin flip. Just playing that out, I think Olamide's probably going to be around 5 to 6 targets in this matchup. All right, going back up there, Theo. JMO, I'm playing for upside, and then it would be a coin flip between probably the running backs are in it as well because running backs just punch it in. But Theo has been very good at getting touchdowns. I think Theo's got a better likelihood, so I'd probably go Theo. I'd probably go Theo as my next man if I want to go safe. More often than not, I would go JMO. More often than not, I'd still go JMO, just shoot for the upside, play to win, and just accept the fact that one of those games where he just scores 6 fantasy points happens in the probabilities. But if you don't like that, then I would go with one tight ends, and I'm leaning Theo due to the matchup. Make sure. Okay. Jordan Mason or Woody Marks? I'm going to look at the touches for Woody Marks. I don't like his matchup. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think he's going to be around 10-ish. We're looking at a touchdown gamble here. We looked at Mason earlier. I think I like Mason a little bit better in my gut. I just don't like either of them. I don't like either of them. I think I'm just looking at game script, and I like the Vikes Baltimore game script. I think we're just hoping which one crosses the goal line here. They're roughly going to get 10 carries off and on between the two, 10-ish each for both of them. One might get 12, one might get 9 or something like that, roughly around there. I think Jordan Mason would be in the safer matchup for the goal line touch, and we're just gambling on that. That's probably what I would do. That's probably how I would handle that. It could go either way due to them being touchdown gambles. That's how I got them classed. But that's probably how I would do. I'd lean to that game script. There you go. There you go. Thank you for watching. There you go. That's what yeah, if you just need points, I'd go with the running back usually when it's a split because I know the running back's going to get some touches. I can't sometimes the wide receiver doesn't get the target or they get overshot, pass interference. I know that. And the red zone looks and the goal line situations of the running backs that could hit towards the upside too and actually be a big benefit. Pick a flex. Devonta Smith, ETN Hendo. Pick a flex, one flex. One flex. Devonta Smith would probably more than likely be my choice. If Hurts goes off, then Devonta's probably going off. That would probably be my choice. If I want to shoot for more upside and make a gamble with Hendo, more than likely I would go Devonta Smith. More than likely I'd shoot that gamble. Full PPR, I have to choose one running back to start flex. I think earlier I went Swift over ETN. And then after that, Money Guy and Monty are touchdown gambles. I like Swift's matchup, even with the wins and stuff, better than ETN's. And we looked it up. Fantasy Pros has ETN over Swift, but it's by like just a couple spots. I would go Swift. I would go Swift, but if your gut's feeling Money Guy and that's your Bears running back for the week, you can do that as well. You could do that as well because also he's the hot hand. They mentioned something about giving the hot hand more opportunities, and it could be a 50-50 split. I don't know. We don't know until the end of the game. If you feel that in your gut, cool. Monty's good for a touchdown gamble. I think Swift of the top two guys who are getting clear-cut touches or potential clear-cut touches, I like the Bears matchup better than the Jaguars-Texans game. Is Colston Loveland stable? Startable? Both of them are legit questions. Yes. Traditional 12-man leagues, yes. Yes, but I look at him as not being stable. I look at him as being a little bit volatile, especially if the weather breaks in this game. Usually, like, weather's weather, like, it'll stop for a little bit. But I think this is a good matchup for him, and I think this is a good opportunity. He start a bull. Like, I think he's volatile, though. Like, I don't think he's stable. I don't think he's stable. I think he's gonna have a few games this year for the rest of the season where he's gonna splash. Like, we got 8 more. I think we're gonna have 3 to 5 of them where he's gonna hit big, and the rest of them where he hits low, and that's really the tight end position too. That's just how the tight end position is. And they're like shifting how they're doing the offense too, because Romo Dunze ain't getting the same amount of targets, same amount of workload. It's going more over the middle, short to intermediate. You're seeing Olamide get more targets. You're seeing Colson Loveland get a little bit more workload. 3, 4, 5, 7 targets over these last few weeks. He's startable. He's startable. He's a good upside play. He's a good upside play this week. All right, next up at QB, do I start Caleb Williams or Sam Darnold? I say this every week. Darnold's always the safe quarterback. Like, he's always the safe play. If you want that, if you want safety, like, Williams is a risk. I like the Giants matchup here. I think there is some risk here. For me, Sam Darnold's always the safe play for me. So I'd usually 9 times out of them, if I do have a tight feeling with them, I would just roll with Darnold. Like 9 times out of 10 every single week. Like, if you're asking me who has the most upside, it would be Caleb Williams. I'm probably just going to enter him in my lineups more. Now, if you're expecting who scores the most and you're looking for more upside for that, probably Caleb, but he's also got a decent matchup here, projected 19 to 19-ish, and usually he's around that 19 to 20 range. His low game, he had 1 with 5. That's week 1 against the Niners. That was a weird game script. You got 1 here against Houston with 10.6. Roughly, he's safe. He's safe. Most time I would go Darnold. If you're seeing who scores most, Caleb, maybe he's got more upside, but Darnold's less likely to flatline on me. At running back, I have Swift, Hendo, Money Guy, Tracy, White. Who should I start at flex? I think it's a toss-up between Swift and Hendo. I feel like Swift's a shade safer. He was running hot. I feel like there's risk too because in my eyes, if I was the coaching staff, I would split it damn near 50-50 or 60-40. I would split it more between Money Guy and Swift, but we got to see how that happens. I think Hendo's a nice upside play this week. I think he fits well in this Bucs matchup. I think it's about between those two running backs for me. I think White's a nice pick. He's a nice pick for a touchdown gamble, but I think Hendo's my upside play. So if I'm playing against one of the top 3 teams in the league, or if I'm down from Thursday, I'm going Hendo. More often than not, more of those other lineups where I feel like I'm projected to outscore or just beat the team I'm playing against, I'm going Swift. But if I need to shoot that shot, I'm going Hendo. Who scores the TD, Swift? I think it's going to be a 50-50 shot. And I think that's a better shot for Money Guy compared to the other games he was with Swift. Looking at that matchup, they're at home. We should get good movement in that game. I think it's a 50-50 shot. That's not what you want to hear, but you'd rather, if you had Money Guy, you'd rather hear that versus what it was like a few weeks ago. I think you got a good shot here. I think the line has dropped more. The line has dropped another point here on the Bears-Giants game, which means there's more being said about this weather, which means there's less likely for movement or something, which means that the reports are actually holding more true. So less movement, they may just roll with the hot hand. They might be rolling that, but we went from 45 to 44 over under. So they're expecting less movement in this game by the minute, and that's been one of my looks here. That and AI, because I'm not a weatherman, and it's moving. It's moving. People hitting the under. I just saw an under thing just gloss up. So that's what I look at. I think it's going to be a 50-50 split. That's just an honest take for that. Down bad at wide receiver. Got start one full PPR. Down bad. So you're shooting for max upside. I think Jordan Addison still has a lot of upside. I think Jacoby Myers does a little bit. I don't like his matchup as much. I just don't think it's got as much fuel to it. The over-under suggests that as well. I'd go Jordan Addison. I like him a lot this week. You're getting killed, but yeah, I need to look back. I had that game up, final 31-25. So, yeah, Jonathan Taylor's been crushing. He's been cruising. Tyler Warren comes out strong. Alec Pierce, strong day. Nice get off the waiver wire for you guys. Alec Pierce might come on strong. If not, at least still hit every other game. And he has the upside to score 20 on any given week. He gets the deep balls. He's a nice play. He's going to make a lot of money this offseason. When I'm looking at everything else, Drake London hit. Kyle Pitts is a gamble. It's all concentrated here to Drake London and Bijan. That's the offense. Penix, man, if he can supply fuel to these wide receivers, it'd be nice. But yeah, I'd go Jordan Addison. Caleb Williams or Goff. I feel safer with Goff. That's right off my gut. That's probably what they're saying here on the market. Goff right behind Williams. I feel a little safer with Goff. Considering what we're seeing here with the over-unders drop, the wind and everything else, with how aggressive Caleb Williams can be, I think the matchup might be a little bit better if we had more clear-cut visibility on the visibility of the weather. That was kind of a joke on the word visibility because visibility of rain and stuff. I was playing words. That wasn't me being an idiot, even though I am. But, yeah, I'd go Goff. I feel a little safer. If you're looking for a gamble upside, maybe Williams. I'd probably go Goff in most of my lineups. I get it. It could be a tighter matchup here with Washington. Washington defense. It has been tricky, some of these matchups. I'd still go Goff and go with that. Yeah, Taylor's been rocking it. Taylor. Man, people in Dynasty. I don't know if you guys were here for that. Let me make sure there's no other chats hanging around. Okay. But people were drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Jonathan Taylor in rookie drafts. Because he got drafted in the first round to the Chiefs. And they were chasing that when Jonathan Taylor was the clear-cut stud at Wisconsin for all those years and then killed it at the combine. And his prospect profile was pristine, as in, like, pushing generational talent. You're looking at Jonathan Taylor here. Like, he's killing it. Like, he has not missed. He did miss week 9, I guess. He did miss week 9. Like, he's hitting so good, I forget the misses. Like, he's been hitting so strong, I forget the misses. But there he is. I had him into the moon game, but I kind of just run through his part so quick because it was obvious. But Atlanta, they came on strong a couple matchups, but they were kind of softer in some of these games as well. There's one thing I want to teach you guys before we start watching these games is that when someone says this team is allowing X amounts, like, oh, an ad hit. Well, if somebody says to you that this team is allowing X amount, they rank 23rd in the league, allowing fantasy points to running backs, peel it back, go back to looking at the games. I'll put this in the chat. This site, it's free. Look up their games, peel it back, look at their matchups, and then here you go. And then look for patterns versus the running back you're looking to start. Had this question earlier. Darnold's always a safe quarterback. Darnold's just safe. And typically, even with the weather being clear, I'm cool with Darnold. And I would say I've said Darnold a lot of weeks in tight spots because he's safe. And I'm not worried about him bottoming out too much. Like, he will a couple games here and there. He's safer. So it's fine if your gut's leaning that way. I do think Caleb's matchup, if it breaks, and we covered this, like the weather, unless it's different from what we're getting here from AI, I'll throw this out here too, because I like to research and share. I'm not a bet capper. Like, I like to research, share, and help you make your opinions. It says where Let me find it. It's a block of words here. 2 to 4 fewer pass attempts per game with 25-mile-an-hour winds. And the completion percentages on average drop around 6%. So it may be a factor, and it may be a massive factor. Caleb Williams likes to be aggressive with the football, and that could impact him. But I like how safe Darnold is, and I'm cool with that. And I think there's an upside for him in this matchup. I like how he's safe week to week. I lean in on that, and I feel cool with that, especially at the quarterback position. I like the matchup, the point total in this game per Vegas. I like Williams as an upside play, as a gamble, but I also feel like most of my lineups, Darnold would be the guy I'd lend to. That's what I would do. Going back to this for a second. So if someone's saying, hey, here's the link. If someone's saying, hey, this defense is ranking X, 26, 32, allowing fantasy points, the running backs, wide receivers, save that link, look it up, and then look at the patterns of what they're allowing and the patterns of what type of running. Oh, they're getting busted up by studs. They're getting busted up by studs. Atlanta was getting busted up by studs. Who did they go up against today? They're a stud. They got busted up by Christian McCaffrey, HN, and they held it down here pretty good. And you notice they're not on the season. It's not like they're giving it away. They're around league average. Like if you're a few points over or below, you're around league average, but they're getting busted up by studs. There you go. There you go. Even though that was an easy call, but that's just an example. That's something to look at. That's why in some of those start sit videos, and you just got to peel it back a little bit, and then that's how you'll get to your determination. And then after that, football's going to football. Well, it's 1 o'clock. Games are firing up. I want to thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys on the next one.